I'm sorry, who was it?
It was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Irvin as second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. There you are, Linda. Hi. Thank you. It passes. Letter B, approval of the minutes of the proceedings of the previous committee meeting. Do I have a motion? B. May is the first.
Second.
Second, Casey Jordan. Good morning.
Morning.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Then C, presentation of resolutions and local law. We'll start with number 1. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just need to take a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Legislator Curtis,
Yes.
May,
Here.
Rowley,
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
William.
Here.
Irvin.
Here.
7 present, none absent.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping us on track. All right, so number 1 then, Onondaga Civic Development Corporation confirming appointment by the chairman of the legislature to the board of directors of the Onondaga Civic Development Corporation. Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Yeah, as you know, the OCDC does a great job working particularly with a lot of our not-for-profit organizations, et cetera. We have a vacancy on the board, and I am nominating Kevin Keener to fill that vacancy. Kevin is, I've known Kevin for, well, probably 20 years or more. He's an attorney, has a practice in the city. He lives in the city, has a great family. His wife's in the healthcare business, is a doctor, actually. And he's very excited to accept this new role. And I think he will do an absolutely great job. He has a flexible schedule, so he'll be able to make meetings, and very open-minded guy. So I think I'm very happy that he accepted when I approached him.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Jordan moves it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Rowley. Any comments or questions? All right, then let's call the roll, please.
Legislators Curtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams, Irvin,
Yes.
six ayes, 1 absent.
Very good. Thank you. Number 2, water environment protection. Letter A, a resolution approving improvements for the Onondaga County Sanitary District consisting of the engineering design of a pump station and force main in and for the county of Onondaga. I believe we have Frank with us.
Yes, good morning, Chairman and members. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
Yes.
So WEP is seeking a resolution and authorization here to begin with improvements within our sanitary district, specifically in the White Pines industrial area and the surrounding properties. We have previously held the commissioner's hearing on this. This is in the Oak Orchard service area, and a legislative public hearing is scheduled for September 1st before the session. So we're seeking this resolution to start the conveyance design work to serve this area. most likely involving force mains and pump station to be able to handle the anticipated flows for future development, and really prepare this area for shovel-ready status so that when we get an opportunity, we can move forward quickly as demanded by people that, and tenants and developers that typically want this kind of stuff. So it's a brief summary.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
This is actually in my district. I've been actually trying to get this project move along for as long as I've been in the legislature. So it's been probably 16 years. And, you know, it would certainly be an economic boon to our community to get a large employer to locate in the White Pines Industrial Park. And certainly I support the project wholeheartedly. My only, I guess, concern or question really is the proposed financing. Proposing to bond for this engineering. Back in 2012, we actually appropriated $2 million specifically earmarked for design, engineering, and permitting. And then along with that, we received a grant from the state for approximately $1.5 million. So in total, we set aside in 2012 about $3.5 million. I understand of that amount, $1.3 million has been utilized to date in various engineering projects. But that leaves a little over $2 million, or at least potentially $2 million remaining that could be utilized for engineering. Now, I did follow up with economic development on this question, and basically they indicate about $663,000 of the $2 million remains. And then it says there's also, let's see here, the $1.5 million grant has to be utilized by 2021. I think it's August 2021. So it really seems to me that we should be utilizing the monies that we already have, the grant and the balance of the monies we already appropriated to do this engineering, especially if this grant money is going to disappear in a year. I would imagine it's going to take some time to do the engineering. So why are we letting this grant kind of fall by the wayside, especially if it's meant to be utilized for engineering? So I think it would seem to me to make more sense to utilize the balance of the monies we have from the $2 million appropriation that the county did, and then also the money from the grant to fund this, and then perhaps, I understand it's going to be roughly a $20 million project when all is said and done, but it looks to me like we'd be risking losing $1.5 million in grant monies if we bonded for this and then didn't utilize that grant.
All right, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could, let me explain a little bit to Casey's point, because I think we all agree with everything that he said. First of all, the $2 million that was allocated back in 2011 and 12 was for the purposes of analyzing, permitting, developing a routing, kind of a high-level planning study of this area to understand how to best route the system. And certainly we didn't spend all of $2 million doing that. And I can only say that I wasn't with the county at the time, but I was part of a private consulting firm that was involved in the design of the routing and the permitting and everything else associated with the planning efforts behind conveyance. So a portion of the $2 million was spent to do that. There was also a portion of the $2 million, it's come to my understanding, that was spent with National Grid to support the electrical substation and supporting infrastructure to make this a viable site and test whether there was enough power and necessary electrical infrastructure to serve this site. Bob Petrovich is on the phone, can speak to that a little bit more. But when you look at those two components, that eats up a good amount of the $2 million. I know you mentioned there was about 660 that was still left, but it's come to our minds that recently it's not that much because of the work with National Grid. So
that was included in there. So the $663,000 is left over. So I got a breakdown. So basically 467,000 went to seeker permitting and engineering, and then another $410,000 went for engineering and permitting for EMI, vibration, and infrastructure utility advancement. Then 403,000 went for the National Grid and electric design. And then you had 56,000 for site planning and legal expenses. So of that 1.3 million that have been utilized already, part of that was for the electrical permitting or engineering or whatever that needed to be done, testing.
Okay, back to you, Frank.
Okay, so Bob, are you on the line here?
I am, Frank. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the committee. Everything that has been discussed up to this point is an accurate representation of the information. Of the 1.3 million that has been spent out of the two, that summary is accurate and correct. I would call to the attention of the committee and the chair that that in addition, the remaining roughly $600,000 is planned to be spent to complete both work being done by National Grid and also by OBG, now Rambo, to complete the electric and gas infrastructure design necessary to bring power to the site sufficient for the advanced manufacturing type end user that we are looking to cite there. So right now, it's not part of the 1.3. We've advanced the final payment to National Grid in 2 bites, one in July and one in August, totaling $375,000. In addition, which would eat up some of the remaining 600 balance. In addition to that, we are advancing with Rambo. We are advancing with Rambo an air discharge permit, generic air discharge permit that we can have in place given the end use that we are contemplating for the site, and supporting engineering. So that could total another 100,000, and then there also needs to be additional seeker work completed on the property for land that has been acquired to make the site more attractive and large enough to support the end use that we are contemplating. So I appreciate that there's $600,000 out there, but the project is advancing in a manner that would look to make those funds available, support those final end products. And again, the entire focus of this is to shorten the time to market and for a potential end user.
Well, sure. And but again, I guess one of my questions is this Empire State Development Grant of $1.5 million, which you said is available until August of 2021. Why aren't we utilizing that for the well, instead of borrowing 1.6 million, why not utilize this and only be borrowing 100,000 or maybe paying cash for the other 100,000?
Excellent question, and let me speak to that if I may. The $1.5 million is a reimbursable grant from ESD, and it's in support of the overall application to spend $6.2 million. So we would have to advance and construct the project to be able to access the 1.5. We had asked for extensions of this grant funding from ESD. ESD understands and supports the project. in the White Pine Initiative, and they have agreed to push us out to August of 2021. In the conversations that I had with the SD, and obviously nothing's guaranteed, but to the extent that I think we would need more time, I think that they would be accommodating in that regard.
All right. Sarah Vendetti, did you want to make a comment about the financing?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I just wanted to remind the committee that, as with any issuance and approval of the ability to issue bonds, we carefully look at the financing to be sure we don't actually issue bonds if it's unnecessary. So the 1.6 would be borrowed when necessary. So we would certainly try to use up the funds available and unused, and only borrow, what's absolutely necessary. So just wanted to make that comment.
Well, would there be any reason why we couldn't, modify the resolution to say that we'll be utilizing, cash or grant funding first, and then, only be bonding for any remaining balance?
In my opinion, no. That's our standard practice.
Well,
Right.
Okay, maybe the standard way of doing it, but can we do it where we would say utilize grant funding first before we go and do bonding? Is there any reason why we couldn't do that? I guess put it that way.
Well, I'm not sure that the financing is nailed down. It sounds like, if we need to come back and let you know how we have, utilized this remaining funding, we will. In my opinion, leaving the authorization there, should the need arise, makes sense.
Okay, let's give other legislators who might have a question a chance. Are there other questions or comments from others?
Chairman Burtis, this is Legislator Ryan. I just have a question, comment, if I may.
Yes. Yep.
So, listen, I've been listening to this conversation, and maybe this is glaringly obvious, or it is just for me, kind of concerning. So, we're talking a lot of money, 6.2. I mean, we're throwing a lot of stuff around here. I mean, 410,000 here, $500,000 there, electrical, engineering, lawyers, air discharge, and I get it, right? And I think we all would agree that economic development projects are important. They're imperative to our tax base. But I just have a question, overall theme, I guess, for the last decade. So do we have is there an end game here for White Pine? I mean, I appreciate, and I'll probably be supporting this, but we've been doing a lot, and now it's, county money, Empire State Development. It's still state tax money. We're being taxed by the state, comes back and Empire Development grants. But, at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that we have a tenant, and that's great, but this has got to be millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, at what point in time do we say we have a tenant or we don't? You know what I mean? I guess that's the question.
So
Good question. Yep, Frank.
So Chris, that's a great question and a great history, I think, about where we've been with White Pines for the past 8 to 10 years. I think we are working very hard in concert with economic development, and we see opportunities potentially coming on the forefront. And this is an attempt really to be ready for it. I think part of it was spurred by what's happened with Amazon in the same area, and the ability to get things up and running quickly has really put Onondaga County and Syracuse on the map to be able to say that, we could be in a position to move this stuff when it comes. So that's the purpose behind this. It's really kind of being proactive to get the necessary infrastructure planned and in place. And that's what the potential tenants demand from us, right? They don't want to wait 5 years to get sewer lines in and electrical infrastructure in and even highways and bridges in. They need to know that, you know, we're at least progressing things. So that's what this is about.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, I guess we're darned if we do, darned if we don't. I mean, so it's the question, right? So do we build the exit? Do we do the road improvements? Do we spend the money, you know, off of 41 and Cardinal and 31 and electrical and utilities? But at the same time, you know, what is the whole county going to get, right? So the county taxpayers are going to be on the hook for an additional $1.6 million. I know that's a question, but we've been on the hook for millions and millions of dollars, and it's just a vacant piece of land. So I guess it's a bit of a, I don't know. No, I don't know. I just hate to keep doing it, but I just hope that at some point in time the taxpayers will get a you know, a return on their investment, and we'll see how that goes. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up my questions and concerns about how much money we have spent in this parcel of property trying to get a business to come here, and how much additional monies are going to be on the taxpayers for the hook for something that we don't know what's happening. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Rowley.
Frank, I was wondering if you could give us an estimate of the timeline here. When do you think this engineering piece will be done? And then what do you anticipate for the actual construction of the project? Is there a timeline or an estimated timeline or a guess or?
Yeah, I can give you some kind of bookends as to what we're thinking as we move this forward. We have the RFP ready to go out on the street pending you know, approvals on this step. We expect to be in design next year and be in a state of construction hopefully the year after. This is one piece of the whole puzzle, however. Depending on the potential tenant or tenants, there may also be improvements necessary to the Oak Orchard treatment plant. But as a start and as a step in the right direction initially, the conveyance has to be ready. So to answer your question, design next year, construction most likely the year after.
Okay, and so in layman's term, we're going to run a pipe from Oak Orchard to this parcel, correct?
In layman's terms, we're going to run potentially a series of pipes from this parcel and perhaps surrounding contiguous properties to the Oak Orchard treatment plant, which is about 2 to 4 miles away, depending upon the routing.
Right. So my question was, other parcels, once this is construction, we'll have an opportunity to tap into it.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Other comments or questions?
Did Chairman? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, B. May first. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everybody. I just, I want to get clarification. There's been a lot of discussion. I just want to make sure I understand the important things I heard well. So maybe if Bob and Frank, after I say what I'm about to say, if you could just confirm that I've got this straight, and maybe even Tara, I'm good. First of all, I think Legislator Jordan raised a really good question or point. There's unexpended grant monies out there that should be used if at all possible and not foregone if we can avoid it. I heard that both WEP and Economic Development fully understand and are aware of those monies being out there. And I heard that there are policies, fiscal management policies. I guess we all know this because we talk about it almost every other time we bond. But there are fiscal management policies that to ensure we're borrowing the least amount of money we need to, as just described by Tara Venditti a second ago. So we're going to try to use as much of that money as we can. We're going to try to use it in the time frame that we're able to work within, but we're going to make business decisions based on opportunity or whatever that comes our way. Is that a fair assessment of where we're at, Frank and Bob?
I think it's right on, Brian.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur with that, yes. And we're acutely aware of grant money that's out there, and we're not going to waste an opportunity to tap into it.
Thanks, Bob.
Very good.
Chairman Burtis, just one quick follow-up to that. But so specific to the treatment improvements, we wouldn't need to do this otherwise. We're doing this for the sole purpose of possibly enticing a potential tenant to come forward sometime in the future, correct?
That's absolutely correct, Chris.
Well, I hope that we, I mean, we can bond for it, we'll approve it, but the release, the issuance of the releasing of that, maybe we could just hold off until we get a firm tenant. I don't know.
If I may make a comment that might add some clarity, in my experience in this role, we've been able to see firsthand the interest and the competitive nature of the business environment relative to how White Pine stacks up against other possible locations. One of the key elements of the discussions that we've had, serious discussions that we've had with large end users, is the size of the site and what they need, and also the infrastructure that needs to be in place. And our entire focus has been trying to shorten the time to market, the window from to be able to deliver the property, recognizing that the feedback that we've received from folks that have taken a hard, serious look at White Pine, these are the types of things that will put us in a robust, more competitive situation to secure the type of end use that we're looking for there. And I think that while I understand that White Pine has been around for a while, my singular focus is to try to make something happen there as soon as possible, and this would be helping in support of that mission, along with the gas and electric infrastructure.
Thank you, Bob. Well, it's my real hope that, I know that it's been around for a while, it's my real hope, and I'm trusting those here that we have a end user that's very interested, and it's my hope that we're in the last leg of this project. With that, I'll ask, is there a motion?
So moved.
First by Brian May.
I'll second.
Jim Rowley, second. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Reluctantly, yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. On to 2B. This is the partner resolution.
So Chairman, this is in fact the partner resolution on the authorization for the issuance of 1.6 million in bonds to support the project that we've been describing.
Thank you, Mr. Mento. Any comments or questions here? I don't know that there should be any, but are there any? Can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Legislator Rowley's first. Is there a second?
Second.
Legislator Majority Leader May. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's move to 3, Department of Transportation. A, amending the 2020 county budget to make funds available for use in connection with New York State PAVE and authorizing the execution of agreements. 1.2 million. Mr. Voss, are you here?
I am, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Marty. Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the committee. Item 3A is a resolution to accept $1,281,499 from the New York State PAVE New York program. We are seeking approval to, as you know, whenever we receive state funds, we have to show a local authorizing resolution to receive those funds. Our 2020 CHIPS allocation was $5,614,210. That's already been approved as part of our work plan. So today we have an additional 2 streams of money that are coming in. We got the notification on our CHIPS run, or validation verification, when the state budget passed. They had not yet acted on PAVE New York and EWR. In the meantime, March 16th, everything changed. In the middle of April, after we had already adopted our work plan, we got a letter from the State Department of Transportation letting us know that, as far as they could tell at that point, all of the runs that we saw from Albany were valid. But, and this is a big but, there is a potential for an up to 20% reduction in all state transportation funds. So we worked with Steve Morgan and his staff on what the most responsible and prudent way to go about that was this year, because there is still so much uncertainty with respect to what's going to happen with cuts from the state, which are, you know, being attributed to cuts from the federal government. So what we're asking to do today is accept these 2 funding streams, but we're not going to give you a list of additional projects we're going to do beyond those that we know we can fund with everything that would count up to 80%. So in other words, we're going to take the $5,600,000 in CHIPS, the 1.2 in PAVE New York, and the 760 in EWR. We're going to only spend 80% of that right now, and we're going to carry over the balance into 21, which we can do under state law, and we will present those projects to you in the work plan in 2021 once things have stabilized and we have some guarantee of actually getting those. The point here is, you know, Steve and I, neither of us, frankly, were comfortable putting that money out there and then finding out when the other shoe drops sometime in September, October, I don't know when it'll be, whether or not those state aid cuts are actually coming or not. So what we're going to do is spend, of the money we're approving today, we're only going to spend $511,000 of that. And what we're going to do to manage that with our vendors is increase the mileage of 3 existing paving projects that we're doing already, that we were going to add to with this money anyway. So we're going to increase the mileage of Pompey Center Road paving, Sweet Road, and Lamson Road, those 3 projects.
Great.
I hope I
Thank you.
explained that.
I thought you did great.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Rowley.
Hey, Marty, how long has PAVE New York been around? I'm just trying to get my head around.
You know, I remember working on it, Jim, when I was working for the state Senate and doing budget stuff for them.
Okay.
So makes me feel old, but it's been around probably 15, 20 years now.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Some years they fund it, some years they don't.
Right. Okay.
It's one of those, you know.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Other questions? Yeah, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little bit, befuddled or whatever adjective you want to use. So they're saying they're giving us the money, but then they're also saying, but we may take back 20% of it.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. Why would you say we're going to give you this money without taking into account, you know, the whatever financial woes are the catalyst for saying we're going to cut you back 20%? Why would you even offer the money if you have these financial difficulties and are anticipating cutting back funding by 20%. That seems ridiculous to me, but.
Legislator Jordan, if I could explain the rationale of things that go on in Albany,
That's right.
I'd be a very high-priced lobbyist.
I guess.
You know, you're right. You're absolutely right, Casey. It doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, you know, other municipalities around the state and a lot of the smaller, you know, I talk to my peers in, you know, Northern New York, Western New York, the Southern tier. They're all rushing to spend as much as they can right away. And, you know, because of our size, you know, we're kind of in the boat with Erie County, Monroe County, you know, us in Albany County. We're big counties with a lot of mileage that we're responsible for. So we can't adapt and adjust that quickly. So in talking with Steve Morgan and the folks at finance, it really only makes sense to spend what you know you have. If you see this cut potentially coming, and they haven't said it's absolutely coming, and they've also told us it could be, you know, up to 20. So it could be 5, it could be 10. But with that uncertainty out there, we just can't responsibly spend money that we don't know for sure we have coming yet. But we also don't want to be behind the 8 ball and not have the resolutions adopted accepting the full amount should that money be released in the fall. So we can start drawing that down early in the spring of 21. Because my guess is that the state budget next year is going to be bad.
Yeah. Is there any risk that they're going to cut us back by more than 20%?
They've assured us no. But like all assurances from government, you know, you got to verify them. I have heard anecdotally in talking to my peers in other counties that they are drawing down and getting reimbursed. We normally put a large submission together for the State Department of Transportation in September, submit it in October and get reimbursed. So we're preparing that now. We have no reason to believe it won't be reimbursed. But we're still, you know, just being careful.
Yeah, sure.
Mr.
Okay, that
Chairman?
makes sense. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too,
Chairman?
Mr. Ross.
Can I
Yes,
hop in? Yeah, I
yes.
think what's going on, and you know, Marty and his team are playing this exactly correct. You know, like us, the state is looking to Washington. If the Congress comes through with some kind of an aid package for states and localities, then we could keep 100% of it, or maybe again it's like 5% or 10%, depending on how much you know, that number is from the federal government. If there's no relief from the federal government, then it will probably be the full 20%. So that's why, yeah, we accept the whole thing, and I agree with Marty, spend 80%, and you know, hopefully we'll have a little bit left over at the end.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
Chairman Burtis, I'd just like to say thank you to Chairman Knapp for recognizing that. Thank you.
That's right. I think it's a good outlook. All right, then, do I have a motion?
I'll move it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rowley is first. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Jordan is second. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Great, thank you. So then we'll move to 3B.
So 3B is the other funding stream. They call it emergency winter recovery. That's an additional $760,000. So that builds into the overall total of state funds of $7.6 million that we're only going to spend, you know, up to the amount of the 80%.
Great, thank you. Questions, comments? 3B.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Just to be clear, this is not severity factor money?
Correct. This is not severity factor. We have not seen anything on severity factor this year.
Yep, and you know, based on last year's winter, I'm probably not anticipating that. I don't know, Marty, you may have better information than that.
Dave, at this point, with everything that I've seen from the state, I think we're lucky to be seeing what we are today with these additional streams that were really legislative ads. You the severity is more of a formulaic thing that the Department of Transportation in Albany calculates, and this was not, believe it or not, the worst of winters.
Right.
We
It
managed
was
through it. It
long, but
seemed
it
like it
wasn't
bad
bad.
because of all the other things we had to do for COVID, but relative to prior years, it wasn't as bad. So I'm not expecting to see any new money from Albany for that.
Right. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that this was not severity.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Anything else? Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Mr. Jordan is first. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Rowley, can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes, yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Marty. Good job. Keep working at it. Appreciate it. All right, then, on to 4, Health Department, letter A, authorizing a lease agreement with Bayberry Plaza for the use of the Onondaga County WIC program. I believe we have, do we have Michelle with us?
This is Indigo,
Oh.
Chairman Burtis.
Oh, well, good morning.
Good
Dr.
morning.
Thanks for joining us. Wasn't sure you'd be.
Thank you for putting this on the agenda. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So we have this WIC clinic at the Liverpool Bayberry Plaza for more than 20 years. And prior to their current location, they were in Plaza nearer where the Kinney Pharmacy is located. This site is referred to as North Area Clinic. It's operational Monday through Friday and hosts evening hours on Tuesdays to meet best clinic client needs. We, as you know, that our caseload is approximately 9,000, a little bit over 9,000, and Bayberry side caseload is approximately between 25 to 2,800, and serves like approximately 1/4 of the total clientele. It actually serves a lot of North area, Liverpool, Baldwinsville, Clay, and Jordan, but anybody can go there. It does also have a bus route there, so it makes it very accessible, along with the opportunity to park right in a big parking lot there. There's a farmer market, which creates accessibility for our clients to cash their dollars for the WIC to get the fresh food. So we are asking for your approval for this reissuance of the lease for next 5 years. And the difference is somewhat about regular 5% increase, and it's basically it will serve our community very well. And we are asking for your approval to continue so we can serve our community.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Are there questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
I'm not sure if this is a question for Dr. Gupta or for legal, but when I was looking at the lease agreement, it looked to me like it was saying that the landlord will not do plowing and maintenance of common areas for us. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. I don't know whether anybody's from legal on. So the common area maintenance is included in there, and they do. We share, the common area part is shared with other tenants. There's a small amount for that is included in the description. I think you have probably in front of you. And as far as the plowing, it should be, we don't pay separately as far as I know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's really a question. I'll have to follow up with legal, but I was that's what I understood the rough terms of the agreement to be. And then when I saw that in the lease, it didn't make an awful lot of sense to me as to why that would be in there and that would be completely opposite of a traditional commercial lease, which includes,
Right.
a prorated share of maintenance costs for common areas. So that was just very surprising to me. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll follow up with legal. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, comments?
It is grant funded. I just want to make sure it's 100% grant funded.
Yes, thank you. All right, then.
Mr. Burtis, it looks like in the chat room that Law is on and will answer that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, hello. Go ahead. Oh,
Well, they messaged me and said that, you know, they'll answer any questions I have, so that's fine. I'll follow up with them.
all right. Very good. Let's leave it there then.
Okay.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion then?
I'll move it.
Mr. Burtis, I was going to move it, but I'll second it then.
Yeah, all right. Mr. Raleigh's first. Mrs. Irvin is second. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May, Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
All right. So moving on, let's go to 5A, economic development, authorizing the sale of tax delinquent property to Empire Polymer Solutions and Buchanan Partners. Good morning, Bob. Or who do we have for 5A?
Ben Yalis is here. I think Bob might be on, and this is his, but I'm happy to discuss this as well. It might look familiar. It is basically the same resolution, different entity as we had one come earlier this year or end of 2019 for Renali. That deal ended up falling through. They just ended up not wanting the property, but we have a deal now on the table for the same purchase price. It will be made in one payment instead of 3 installments of the $500,000. So a little bit of a better deal, I think, as far as that is concerned. And $150,000 of that will go to the oil spill fund to get a full release that's transferable to the buyer. So there'll be no outstanding sort of environmental issues or liens they have to worry about.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Any questions? Any comments?
I am on the call, Mr. Chairman. I just I forgot to unmute myself when you recognized me. So any comments on the project and the details, I'd be happy to respond to.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, sir. Anything at all, folks? All right, then. Can I?
Mr. Chairman, so have we had an appraisal done? I mean, it looks to me like between the environmental lien and the back taxes is roughly almost $1 million. I mean, obviously it's the former Sirocco site, and my understanding is that the contamination that existed has been cleaned up. So it would seem that the $1 million would more or less resolve the issue with the environmental issues. Although I do understand that there's some continuing kind of maintenance or monitoring costs. But have we had an appraisal done? I mean, we're basically eating $1 million, or $500,000. So let me. If this went to auction, what would the site bring?
Ben, you want to do that?
Yeah, I can speak, and then Bob, you jump in too if I miss
Sure.
anything here. But yeah, so I guess the one piece here is these types of parcels just really aren't great auction parcels. We have a new IMA with the oil spill fund and DEC that does help to. We don't get the protections from oil liability under state law when we transfer a property that we do for like CERCLA. So you get CERCLA protections. The government won't come back at you if you take something for taxes. But the same was not true for oil spills. We have an MOU now with the oil spill fund that extends that protection to oil spill sites. But the problem with an auction is you really don't have that much control over the ultimate user. And so somebody might easily get in over their head quickly. And the idea there might be then they fall, they can't fix up the site, they end up in arrears again, and we're in the same position. So I think the idea with these unique sites that have been here for a while, industrial sites with this contamination, is to really find a true end user that will put it to the best use. And I think economic development's done a great job finding one here. They've toured the site, they're familiar with it, they know what they're getting into. And I think I'm looking right now in the files. I can get back if Bob has the info on the appraisal. There was an appraisal done, but looking at this property, I think the appraisal might be a little high for what it is too. I don't think they've revised it in light of the contamination and the state of the facility itself.
Do you know what
if I may add some color commentary to that.
Yes.
To give you the backstory on kind of a micro Cliff Notes version, Empire Polymers and Buchanan Partners. Empire Polymers is based out of Western New York. They're a going concern, and Buchanan Partners is a venture capital group out of Maryland. Originally, they were in town looking at the GM facility as a possible acquisition. The GM facility, they were having an extraordinary amount of difficulty with that transaction. And so I had the opportunity to talk with them about that and said that if things don't work out, I have another site that might meet your needs over in Van Buren. And so they wanted to know more about it. We've been working with them for a little over a year on this project. They took a look at the site. It really is severely tax delinquent, but also severely neglected and an attractive nuisance. They looked at it, it met their objectives in terms of space, and the long story short, what they do is they take recycled plastic, they clean it, they wash it, they pelletize it, and then make it available to back in as a raw material for production of new plastic products. And there are a number of synergies on this project. Empire Polymers is eager to close right after session in early September. They're expecting to, they've already come to the IDA board. They've gone through seeker. They've gone through local approvals. Everyone's enthusiastically supportive of this. The county executive was introduced and met these gentlemen back last October. Their plan is to spend $7.1 million on the facility, and they're looking to add 70 manufacturing jobs as part of this process. And so it is, all things considered, in our view, a win-win-win. And albeit that the price is only $500,000, I'm not sure I'd want to pay $500,000 for the property in its current condition. And they are also stepping in, and any ongoing operations and maintenance associated with the environmental, they're stepping forward and shouldering that burden.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. Good information.
I guess my next question is going to be, will they be competing with Tessie Plastics, which has been a phenomenal asset for this community? But it sounds like they're actually going to complement them, maybe supply material for Tessie, or no?
That's absolutely right, Casey. They are going to. There's a relationship there that both Tessie and Empire Polymers is excited about because they can provide Tessie with raw materials right next door. So it's a Tessie is supporting this as well.
I'll move it.
Mr. Jordan is first. Yes, let's do this. Mr. Jordan is first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Ryan is second. Yes, I believe Mr. Chairman, is that you?
Just really briefly, 2 points. This is, a good situation in many ways. We just mentioned the Tessie Plastics, but also with our situation with recycling at Okra, who knows, maybe we can make some kind of a deal there to take plastics from Okra and cut down on their overhead on recycling right now. And then lastly, remember, we're making the town and the school district whole on these back taxes, and so as soon as we can stop the bleeding there, it's a good thing as well.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have a first, I have a second. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May, May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's move to 6. County Legislature A, changing the date of the October 13, 2020 legislative session. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the next couple items are administrative in nature. Basically 6A, right now the budget session is scheduled for October 13th. Obviously, we pushed back the entire budget schedule. And so in accordance with that, we are moving the budget session to December 3rd.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
6A, is that Mr. May?
Yes, sir.
All right, first by Legislator May, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Jordan, could we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. On to B then, changing the date of the November legislative session. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, again, along with the budget, we traditionally move our session date away from Election Day, which is what would have been this year. And so we moved it back to Thursday, November the 5th. However, the county executive is going to be presenting his proposed budget on November 4th, Wednesday. And being that we're all going to be together for that, we thought it prudent to just change session to that day. Since we're all going to be together anyway, we can just hear from the county executive and then go ahead and have session as opposed to having to do 2 separate days.
Great, thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move it.
Legislator Jordan, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Rowley, could we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May, May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. Letter C, standard workday and reporting resolution. Mr. Chairman.
Again, administrative task. This standard workday is actually for past legislator and floor leader Patrick M. Kilmartin. And so again, this is administrative in nature. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Mr. Rowley is first. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Irvin, second. Can we call a roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. On to letter D, amending resolution 25-1986 to remove the directive to give notice of this order by publication in newspaper. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. As we know, budget standpoint, we're looking at every nickel that we can to save. And so Jamie and I, primarily Jamie, have been going through to see what areas we can save a few dollars. And we spend over $3,000 a year publishing in the newspaper. And so while that is an important piece and we don't want to do anything that's going to diminish communication with our constituents, there are a few very old laws, this one's from 1986, that we have to publish every year because that was the way it was written into the resolution, that we can very easily do through other electronic or free means, and I think still accomplish the same thing. This one deals specifically with dogs and deer during deer season. We did not want to rescind the resolution because it's certainly a good thing. Nobody wants to see deer killed by dogs, but we're just removing the part that where it has to be published in the newspaper every year, and we're going to use other means to do that. So, like I said, just in an effort to save money.
Great, thank you. Any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. So this directive is only about dogs and deer? Is that what this is about?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Can I have a motion? Is there? Yeah, Mr. May is first. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Rowley is second. Can we call the roll, please?
Legislators Burtis,
Yes.
May, you're on mute. Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. Moving on to letter E, authorizing cost-free live streaming of regular and special legislative sessions consistent with the Onondaga County Legislature's longstanding commitment to improving public access. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so, can't say there was much good that's come out of the coronavirus situation. But I think maybe one little small thing that has is it's forced us to adapt to new technologies and new ways of communicating, and new ways of getting things done. And so now that hopefully we're maybe definitely past the end of the beginning and hopefully towards the beginning of the end, to quote Winston. As we're looking at going back live again, this is something that I think is going to work out well based on what we've learned over the past several months. I want to thank Legislator Williams for getting the ball rolling on this. So this resolution would, again, going back to the previous item, we, financially, everything is very, very difficult right now, and for the folks. So, but what we've seen is there are free platforms that can be used to get the word out into live stream sessions, and so this resolution would approve live streaming our general sessions, our monthly sessions, or special sessions, any type of session where we're all together via a free platform. The obvious is Facebook Live, but we set up a computer in the session room with the audio and video going, and people could sign in and observe the meeting. And so, that's the high points of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, yes, Vern.
So as I'm grateful that we decided to take up live streaming because it's way overdue. I just believe this resolution don't go far enough, in my own personal opinion. Well, this resolution came about. We've been working on the Democrats. We've been working on a piece of live streaming, a resolution ourselves, and we try to work with the other Republicans. We work with the county executive's office. Trying to get because they've been doing this since COVID, and didn't know where it kind of fell apart. Maybe communication did, but I'm a little disappointed that we didn't reach across the aisle to say, hey guys, we have our resolution. You got your resolution. Let's sit down and let's figure this thing out. I thought that, this could be a good piece of resolution that get bipartisan support, kind of get both sides working together from our last, outing in the session. But apparently it didn't go that way. Apparently we're still back to, folks not really want to work together. And that's fine with me. That's the route we want to take. Perfectly fine with that. But I think it's a little disheartening to say at the same time, we want to work together, but actually show something else. So that's my piece of it right there. But with live streaming, I think it's very important that, the constituents get to see how, we interact as legislators, how stuff get done. I think it'll boost participation within the county leg sessions. But like I said, I don't think this resolution goes far enough. Some things that we have in our resolution that I don't see in this resolution. But I would love to see that us sit down and compare the two and kind of come up with a bipartisan resolution to put back before the committee. I would love to see that. As my resolution, I had no intent of working it just on a partisan point of view. I really had true intentions on working with everybody to try to get something passed. But last minute, it didn't work that way. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I would love to see us work together on this. I think this is something that we can do. It's something that I think that we should do. Boost morale, get us working together. And I think that we can go that route. But again, I won't be voting for this as it stands right now.
Okay, thank you. I would just interject here that, this COVID world hasn't helped us much. And frankly, I believe communication has been a problem all the way around in my personal life, my work life, and definitely in the legislative life too. I like to be around people, like to be there. I think it'd be a lot easier to communicate and discuss if we were rubbing shoulders with each other at the legislature. So, it's just been difficult, and I've got emails. I'm sure you've all got emails. I saw where I got an email running from you, but from the line. But to be completely honest with you, I don't remember seeing it. Now my phone's on me every day, and I folder things and clear things, and so there's that for email. But I would just suggest that we as we talk about working together, I'm very open and honest when I say that, to work with our leaders, and then work with the chairman on whichever side you're on. We've got Mrs. Irvin, who's very open and capable. We've got Mr. May, and then we've got Mr. Knapp. So just to say here on during this meeting that Ways and Means, it's not all about me. You know, we have leadership here at the legislature, and just would say, you know, to work through them. And so, but again, my point is, I think it's a difficult time. And then there's, of course, still the old way of calling people on the phone. So, you know, I understand your position, Vern, and appreciate the work you did here. But that's my explanation, I would say. Other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mrs. Irvin.
Yes. Yes. Legislator Williams has been working on this for a long time and has tried to reach out to both you and the chairman of the Ledge about his resolution. He was working with Legislator Julie Abbott-Keenan on this as well. And then to see this resolution come out on the agenda without his being considered was difficult to understand. But I think if we want to move forward, let's move forward and work together and try to compare the two and get something that works with both what he had in his and what you have in yours, so we can work together and make this happen. The goal is to make sure that we have live streaming. The goal is to make sure the public can see what we're doing. So let's try to make this happen. But the bottom line is, he tried very hard to make sure that everybody knew what he was doing, and it was not received.
I understand. Yes, other questions, other comments?
Mr. Chairman, just the one point, I think the main difference between the two, there's a few other things, obviously. The main difference, though, I think, is the committee meetings. And looking at that, I think there's two concerns with that. Number one is that, not a concern, but actually a really good thing, is that, you know, our minutes in our committee meetings are absolutely second to none. They're the envy of the other counties in the state. So, you know, we do a really, really good job of getting the word out on our committee meetings through the minutes. You know, session has always been, just because of the way the rules are, session works differently. And so there aren't verbatim minutes taken like there are for committee meetings. But logistically, the big problem with committees is our committee room is small. It would be very difficult with a computer sitting on the side or on a desk or something. Number one, to get everybody in, and number two, you're probably going to be mostly looking at the backs of people's heads. And so it's going to be real difficult to figure out who's talking, who's saying what, and logistically it'd be very, very difficult. So that's why all along the discussion has always been about session. We're addressing that, and so I'm always open to talk, obviously. And we've got a couple of weeks before session. We can, you know, happy to get together and talk about this or anything else, obviously.
Other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, and
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for that offer to talk. Yes, let's look at maybe the possibility of making this happen in committee as well. But Legislator Williams is running with this, so let him run with this, talk with you guys, and come up with something different.
Yeah, so thank you, if you're done. So just to be clear, you know, just a little clarification, I guess. So we've talked about other resolutions before that we were wanting to talk about and work together, and I guess it's really on the onus of everybody to just communicate directly to the person who's leading the resolution. I know myself, I had a little confusion on the last thing that myself and Juliet Keenan wanted to work together, and I thought it would happen differently than it did. So anyway, you know, I know that we're all busy and have a lot of emails, a lot of stress from outside in this COVID land, but I think you know, we just have to be very active with communicating. You know, there's email, there's phone, there's text. We all have each other's number. I just think, me personally, I would say, just need to just be more, you know, committed to reaching out and making the connection. And so, you know, our leaders are not necessarily going to do that. Not really their role on all of this. So we've got to take our own responsibility. It's not a criticism. It's just a statement for me personally. So others,
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think a couple things. You know, one, certainly Leader Irvin, Chairman Knapp, and you have sort of alluded to the problems here. My comment is probably higher level than that. You know, I think that I just want to say that in this particular issue, you know, because we keep saying it as a group, and by a group I mean the entire legislature, that we've got to communicate better, both inside our own caucuses and across the aisle, and with our staff. It's just all got to be better. COVID's presented some challenges, that's for sure. But I think this is a great opportunity to maybe mention, for the good of the order, that you know, we should try to channel some of this stuff through our leadership, take a look at legislative process, protocol, talk with staff, make sure we're doing the right things to not only get things done or in process, but to be considerate of each others' needs as members of the legislature with, you know, we all got a variety of different responsibilities inside and outside the ledge that we need to take care of. And I think the communication piece, and even honestly protocol, and observing that through the process, to be considerate of everyone and to keep everyone informed, especially if an issue is important to any one of us. I think we should do that. And I sort of hear an interest, well, more than here, an interest to talk about this a little bit more. I'd make a recommendation that perhaps we call this considered today, and perhaps let the two legislative sponsors and others get together to discuss if there's any kind of middle ground or changes that can be achieved prior to session in September. Just throwing it out there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. May.
I agree.
I agree. I agree with Legislator Florida. I'm sorry, Florida Leader May. Like I said, my intention was to work, you know, with everyone that I wanted to do last year. I knew there was some support there. Was never my intention to X the chairman out or anybody else. So if any protocols are missed on my part, I'll take responsibility for that. But this is a good, you know, I think a good resolution. I think we all are in favor of live streaming. I felt that it would be a good piece that, you know, we all can get together talking and getting our own, you know, opinions on paper and coming through with a good bipartisan resolution. So I'm still in favor of that. I still want to do that. So that's just my piece.
Okay, Vern, great, thank you. Well, let's really be very active in reaching out, really, be my only thing. Anything else, other comments, questions? I'm not gonna call a vote here. We'll mark it as considered. You know, everybody can talk about, leadership can talk together with Vern about different things. I mean, there's a lot of words in the last resolution. We had our illustrious county executive in there. I'm not sure if, not even sure if resolution is necessary. Where I was coming from, could be an understanding, but if this is what folks want to do, personally, I want to get back to being there live in person. I know some others do too, but here we are in COVID land. So With that being said, if there's nothing else, we'll move along. And we'll go to 7, law. So need to have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing proposed, pending, and current litigation. Is there a motion for that? Sir, first.
So moved.
Mr. Jordan, is there a second? Please.
Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Rowley, I see. We need to call the roll on this, please.
Legislator Burtis,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Irvin.
Yes.
7 ayes, none opposed. We are now going to go into executive session.
Jamie's gonna tighten up.
Yeah, I think we need to advise all listeners to log off.
Jamie's taking care of that, Casey. She's gonna clear the room here. And just let me know when we're clear. This is a real challenge in COVID land.
You aren't kidding.
Yeah, he's been working on it. He's been doing a good job.
I'm not sure who that is. Is that a public participant?
Sorry, who?
GRABOWRS. I don't know who they are.
Yes, it's Ray Grabowski, DeWitt Dem, committee member.
Need to get off.
He needs to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing personal.
So I have Darcy. Darcy, if you can.
I can go now. Just wanted to make sure it was clear.
Okay.
Thank you.